Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Isabelle Christine Bourag, and I'm a sociologist by training. I teach at the University of Nebraska at Omaha, and these videos on perfume are completely independent from my teaching and research activities and service activities at the University of Nebraska. However, I have a lot of things that I want to share with you regarding the world of perfume, especially as it pertains to our social world and social settings and culture. So I want to start this video talking about a category of perfumes called the gourmands. Gourmand comes from a French word gourmand, which is a word that we actually use when we want to say that somebody likes to eat, but likes to eat something in reference to sweet foods, not necessarily salty foods. It's usually there's a connotation for sweet foods. So the word gourmand it refers to a category of perfumes that are sweet, or you can smell them, but you can almost taste them. That's kind of like the idea of a gourmand. And those were really popular in the 1990s, and they continue to be very popular. So I kind of want to explain to you some of the notes. We're going to talk a little bit about what they smell like. What are some key perfumes from the 90s and from the 2000s and from now that have the smell, and when to wear them and when not to wear them? Because one of the things that I really want to stress on is the social context of perfume. And depending on where you're going to be in the world, or what kind of setting you're going to be in, it'll be appropriate or inappropriate to wear certain perfumes. So let's get started. So as I mentioned, gourmand smells like food, smells like something sweet. So, picture a cake, an ice cream, Nutella. I don't know, for my viewers who are in the United States, Nutella isn't quite popular here as it is in Europe or in other parts of the world, but it's this delicious paste made with chocolate and hazelnuts. And a lot of gourmand perfumes really try to tap into that smell. When you smell a gourmand, you can imagine that you're almost in a kitchen or almost somewhere where your mom or your aunt or somebody you love is baking something sweet. So that's the idea that those perfumers are trying to bring to your mind as you spray and buy this gourmand. And so it has a very comforting vibe to it, right? So the vibe here is very comforting. So this is something that subconsciously you're going to associate with your childhood. I have another video, and I invite you to look at it on the mental and psychological associations of perfume, right? Because the associations that the smell, the sense of scent does with our brain and with our memory centers, with the hypothalamus in our brain, are huge. So we're not thinking about it, but subconsciously, perfume makes us travel, whether it's in the past or somewhere near and dear to our heart. So that's the idea behind a gourmand. So a kitchen, a fair where, if you've been to like a county fair with, these funnel cakes in the US or in Europe, crepes with Nutella, or a bakery, those are the associations. So let's get started with the mother, in my opinion, of all gourmands. I always think of, an analogy with Game of Thrones. Daenerys Targaryen is the mother of dragons, the one mother of these creatures. And I think that Angel is the mother of dragons of all gourmands. So Angel, this star-shaped bottle here, is the mother, in my opinion, and in many people's opinions, of all gourmands. So it's a star-shaped bottle. And this is a vintage bottle because, as we'll see in this channel, perfumes have been reformulated. And reformulations don't always mean better. Sometimes the formula gets ruined. And so this came out in 1995. And it is an absolute... You love it or you hate it. I personally love it. I wrote a story about Angel. This smells like, I'll tell you, I'm not going to talk about notes in terms of the pyramid of notes in this video, but I'll tell you what it smells like. It smells like chocolate. It smells like something called patchouli, which we'll talk about later. It's a very strong note that some people can think smells of dirt. It smells strong, very strong. It smells sweet and strong at the same time. Like some people smell body odor in this, but I don't. It smells extremely enticing. Someone sprays Angel, and I'll spray it here, and everybody knows you're here. Like this is not a discreet perfume. This is not something that you wear when you don't want people to smell you. This is extremely potent. Some people smell, after 8 mint chocolate candies. So there's a little mint here in this version. In the new version that you can find if you shopped at Macy's or Sephora, there's a lot of mint. There's a lot more mint. So this is extremely dividing. Some people, as I mentioned, love it. Some people hate it. So Angel is extremely, extremely divisive. So it smells sweet, but dirty at the same time. But that dirty personally does not bother me. It never has. I've been wearing this perfume since I was 14 years old. I discovered it when I lived in France, when it was extremely popular, but I had never, bitten the bullet to buy it because at the time it was really reserved for women who were a little older. But I was 14 years old and I said, you know what, I want this. And I even wore it at school. And that was a bold move because it is, very powerful. This is something that, depending on where you are in the world, you want to be careful with. In the United States, and I have an entire video about perfume culture in the US. In the United States, this might not be appropriate during the day. The US is this culture of wanting to smell very clean and very light, and like you just sprayed something fruity or citrusy. This is not it. So if that's where you are in the US, you want to maybe wear this not at the office, not in a professional setting, and reserve it for a night out or reserve it for intimate moments. And so if you can get a bottle of vintage on eBay or on sites like Mercari, I strongly encourage you to do so because this formula is the most gourmand. It's the most chocolatey. It's the most addictive, indeed, I want to say. And there's also this product, which I highly recommend, which is the body cream that smells a little lighter than the perfume, but lasts forever. So if you want to go a little lighter during the day and wear this instead of the perfume, you can wear this alone. Now, if you want to combine them at night, you will leave a trail behind you. Everybody will know you arrived. So Angel, some people think it's old-fashioned. It's very 1990s. It's atemporal, in my opinion, and it's an absolute masterpiece. And I invite you, whether you're a millennial or a Gen Z or somebody, from a different generation, to rediscover this because it has fallen out of popularity a little bit for other newer gourmands, which I'll talk about later. There's also this flanker. So a flanker, and I have a video on flankers later on. There's also this flanker, which my bottle's broken, came out about 5 years ago, which is called Angel Muse. Angel Muse is definitely has the original DNA of Angel. However, it is very heavy on the hazelnuts. So if you, like me, are a lover of Nutella or hazelnuts, I love everything that has chocolate and hazelnut together. To me, it's absolutely addictive, and I do have a sweet tooth. This is it. I almost prefer this sometimes when I want to, smell hazelnutty to the original. Highly recommend this if you're in cold weathers. The cold weather makes the scent, more pleasant. In hot weather, and I have worn Angel in hot weather, that's a bold move as well. I have worn Angel in Miami and 100-degree weather, so that's like 33-degree weather. No, 37, I believe. It's always very confusing to make those conversions, but it's very hot weather. I have worn this, and it is a bold move, and I don't recommend it to everybody when you're just starting with Gourmands. Start this in cold or, spring or fresh weather, or autumn, perhaps. So after that, in the 90s, there were tons of Gourmands that came out. And I don't want to talk about all of them because I'll have specific reviews, but I want you to know that this trend is not over. One of the perfumes that is a gourmand, but with a twist, that we'll talk about in another video, that I don't personally have right now, but that everybody in Gen Z generations, the Gen Zs are the people that I teach, my college students, everybody wears that, and that is Cloud by Ariana Grande. Very cotton candy-ish. And you will recognize that smell because a lot of people are wearing this. But in the 90s, we'll continue our little travel with the 90s. At the end of the 90s, this came out. And this house, Christian Dior, which is a big fashion house, a haute couture house, came out with Hypnotic Poison. Now, Hypnotic Poison was massive for many years. And there were a lot of people wearing this in Europe, in America. Again, this one's a vintage. It's been reformulated. This one is lighter than Angel, and it has an almond smell. So it has that almond, jasmine, and vanilla smell. Again, you will leave a trail, not as big as with Angel. It is not as divisive. People will like this. And it's more elegant. So I do also have a video on what it means for a perfume to be elegant. And this, I believe, is more elegant, less wow factor, less bombshell, but still very elegant and still very absolutely, enticing. And I believe that Monica Bellucci, the Italian actress, was the face of Hypnotic Poison for a while, or one of its flankers. So other gourmand perfumes that later on came out that I think are worth exploring, and you can still find most of them out, are this one. This bottle is absolutely darling. This is Fantasy by Britney Spears, by the American pop singer. And this came out, I believe, in 2005 when I was starting college. And everybody was wearing this for a reason. This is a masterpiece. And nowadays, not a lot of people wear this because, as I said, people tend to buy new things that come out. So the Ariana Grande, the Baccarat Rouge, all this trend and tendency, which I'll describe in another video. This is absolutely fantastic. It has, a scent of fruit and cupcakes. That is the thing that you smell right off the bat. And I remember during those years, cupcakes were a big thing. They were a big, trendy thing in American culture. You had these brands like Georgetown cupcakes that were opening up franchises all over the country. And I think that this, played to that image, that social image of, okay, the cupcake trend, very sweet, lighter than Angel, less divisive. There's no age for perfume, and I have a video on that later, but you will associate this with the early 2000s, with Britney Spears, Paris Hilton generation. So if one day you want to feel, nostalgic and you want to go back to that era, you can definitely wear this. Can you wear this professionally? You can, absolutely, but it's not the most professional and it's not the most elegant perfume. It's a fun perfume. And gourmands are comforting and fun, right? So a weekend or a cool day when you're meeting with some friends, it's an absolute masterpiece. There is a note of kiwi here that sometimes bothers people, and passion fruit perhaps a little bit, but that is a note that doesn't really stay long. We call that a top note. So those notes tend to fade away rather quickly. And I highly recommend that, even though you may think that this is juvenile, you give it a try because it's very well blended. It lasts. It's everlasting. It lasts for a really long time. And it's a very good perfume at a very good price as well. Has it been reformulated? Yes. And has the reformulation ruined the formula? Some might say yes, some might say no. I still think it's close to its original DNA. Following the celebrity trend on Gourmand perfumes. A couple of years after Britney Spears came up with her perfume, there was this perfume, Fancy, by Jessica Simpson, that came out. And this one played the caramel note, very strong. So if you think about sugar, you know, when you make caramel on the stove with sugar, and sometimes people put salt and butter, this is what it smells like with almond flour. Again, this almond note that is so comforting and so enticing. And this is just much lighter than Britney Spears' perfume, much lighter than Angel. Again, mid-2000s, the aesthetic is the same. We're, you know, back in that time. And Fancy by Jessica Simpson is a great perfume as well. The quality is fantastic, like Fantasy, like Angel, and it lasts a very long time as well. So I invite you to explore this as well. You can still find it, although it's becoming harder and harder to find. In my opinion, this is also a masterpiece. You don't have to spend a lot of money on perfume for it to be good. And that is something that I will mention again in my further videos. You don't have to spend a fortune. You can, absolutely, but you don't, for it to be a good formula and a good perfume. So after that, there is another cheapie, something we call it cheapie, which I believe was discontinued. It's by Avon. It's called Luck. You can still find it on eBay, I believe. And this one has notes of red berries, cotton candy, and vanilla, and just smells very strong, but very good if you want to smell sweet. You cannot go wrong with this one. It's called Luck, and it's extremely economical. It's about, I want to say, $20. So you don't have to spend a fortune if you want to smell sweet. Finally, the last one that I want to talk about, which if we want to go into the niche area, and niche is, again, we'll talk about niche in another video, niche area. So perfumes that are elegant, that are refined, extremely expensive, and that are not part of the mass market. Some of them are worth it. Most of them, I want to say, are not, but some of them are. And one of those is Tobacco Vanille by Tom Ford. And I don't know if the light is too bright here. And this is really worth it. This is unlike anything else I've ever smelled. This lasts forever. Tom Ford has some amazing perfumes, and this one is one of those. It smells like something that in Europe is called, in French, pain d'épices. In the US is called gingerbread. It smells like pipe tobacco. If you've ever smelled pipe tobacco, not when it's smoked, so not when the tobacco smoke comes out, but when you sniff it, you smell it from the actual pipe. It smells like that. And this is, you know, I've received, there's a honey note in it that I can smell, a chocolate smell. I've received countless compliments on this perfume. It's very unisex in the sense that it's not very feminine. The ones that I've described before are quite feminine, and this, a man could absolutely wear it. And I don't believe that, you know, there are gender classifications in perfume, but the way that they're marketed says so. Although we're veering away again from these as a society, as our society becomes more inclusive, gender inclusive. But this, you know, initially was for women, and I believe you can absolutely, anyone you can wear that, and it smells fantastic on anyone. Absolute masterpiece. You will get millions of compliments, very pricey. But I've had this bottle for years because I wear it, you know, sparingly to save it. A 10 out of 10, you know, absolute fantastic, strong quality, and a scent that is not replicated easily. So I hope you've enjoyed this little like deep dive on Gourmand and a little bit of the history. Like I said, I'm going to do more videos on that. And if you want to hear videos in other languages, I will also post videos in French, Italian, and Spanish, and I'll give my best shot at Arabic. And yeah, so this is the Polyglot Perfumista, and I was very pleased to talk to you today. Thank you.